Alright, so today I'm going to do a quick video for you guys on my favorite settings on the JP Mark II C++. This amp has been one of my favorite amps for the last couple of years since I got it, but I've had kind of a roller coaster ride with it. I've had days where I really liked it a lot, and I've had days where I was like, I still really like it, but maybe it's a little too focused for me or something. There are so many tweakable options on this amplifier, whether it's the knobs in the preamp section or the faders in the graphic EQ section. I mean, there's just so many things you can do to make this amp sound 1,000 different ways. So over the last couple of years, I've really found my sweet spot on this amp. Now, it didn't take me 2 years to figure it out. It's just, you know, I got a lot of amps and, you know, I can only spend so much time with them and running my business. But I finally really sat down with this amplifier a couple weeks ago and dialed it in to my taste and really dug into the manual and learned a lot about this amplifier. So if you have this amp, definitely read the manual. I know it's not something that we like to do, but with this amplifier, it's mandatory. There are some really good secrets hidden inside of this amplifier, and I'm going to show you just a couple today to show you how I dialed it in for my taste, you know. So let's go ahead and get started with that now. All right, so I'm going to focus today mainly on channel 2 and just a little bit on channel 3. So don't worry, I'm not going to make a long video. I'm trying to keep my videos short now. Here's a picture of the amplifier and how I have it dialed in. I have EQ1 programmed to be associated with channel 1, which is a clean channel, and channel 2. And I programmed the amplifier to have the EQ number 2 associated with channel 3, which is my lead channel. Now, at first glance, you might think I have the graphic EQs dialed in exactly the same, but I don't. Keep in mind that the faders on these graphic EQs are very powerful and very touchy. You move them just a millimeter, and they do a lot. So, one thing that I'll say as a tip for this amplifier is don't grab the faders with your fingers and move them around. That's just, the tolerance is so tight on these, you're going to overcorrect or undercorrect things, depending on which way you move the faders. Just take your finger and just put it underneath the fader if you want to go up, and just move it up incrementally and put it on top of the fader and push down on it a little bit. You know how you push against the amp and just kind of move your finger down a little bit to push the fader down or up? That's what I suggest you do with this amplifier, because again, these faders are very, very touchy and there's pretty much zero tolerance on them. Every little bit you move them, they do a lot. That's why when you look at pictures of how maybe John Petrucci has his amp set up or whatever, and you're like, oh, well, I'll just set mine up the same way. Why doesn't it sound the same? Well, because he might have been a millimeter or two off from what you have your setup at. And it really does make a big difference. So keep that in mind when you're dialing in this amplifier. All right, so let's just play a couple riffs on channel 2, how I have the amp set up right now, and just listen to it without having a mix in the background. And I'm pushing it with the mud killer, and I'll do it with and without the mud killer in a minute. And I'm also going to show you shred mode. So let's go ahead and just do that right now. I mean, that just sounds nasty. I mean, it's so bold and full, and there's a lot of great pick attack on the top end, and it's very aggressive. Now, like I said earlier in this video, like I used to think this amp sounded a little too focused for me, but I don't think so anymore. The way I have this dialed in, I fixed that. It's got a really nice, tight, aggressive sound, and I freaking love it. There's a boldness to it as well, and it's thick and chunky, and I really love how it feels with these settings, especially when I boost it with the mud killer. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and play the same riff for you on this amplifier with and without the overdrive pedal, and I'm going to show you what it sounds like with the shred mode engaged. So pay attention to this part of the screen right here. If you see the mud killer in the picture, that means it's on. If you don't see it, that means it's off. And I'll also put a label there for when I'm using shred mode. Well, I got to be honest with you, I was pretty impressed with shred mode. It actually sounded and felt pretty damn good, you know. I haven't used that in a while, and it actually does tighten up the amp and make it pretty aggressive. Now, which way do I prefer it? I still prefer having my own overdrive pedal, but I'll tell you, if I got to a gig and forgot my overdrive, which would probably never happen, but just in case it did, I could use that and it would get me through the gig, and I think it would do a pretty good job. I think it's good for recording too, and for lower tuning. So if you have a guitar that's tuned way low and you don't like to use an overdrive pedal, engage shred mode, and it really does tighten the amp up and make it a little more aggressive, and the feel is actually pretty good. Alright, so now let's quickly talk about how I achieved this tone on channel 2. As you may or may not know, the presence knob on this amplifier has a push-pull feature on it. So when it's pushed in, it has a more modern take on the range of frequencies that it's adjusting. And when you pull it out, it goes into the classic 2C plus mode and adjusts a completely different set of frequencies, and it's actually much brighter. So if you have it pushed in and you like where it's at and you want to try that, when you pull it out, it's going to be a lot brighter in that same setting. So what you want to do is back it down. And honestly, the sweet spot, in my opinion anyways, is around 10 o'clock. And it warms up and doesn't get so bright and harsh, but it adds this just different texture on the top end, and it makes it aggressive, and it just sounds amazing. I really love how it sounds like that. And it stands out in a mix in all the good ways. So if you're really kind of like a purist and you want to go after the classic C+, you know, sound, I mean, that's one way to get you there a lot quicker. So I really like the fact that they put that feature in there. And just so you know, the gain has a push-pull on it as well. So if you're in the lead channel, which I use channel 3 for, and you want more gain, just pull the gain knob out and it gives you one more gain stage, and it actually does work really well. In the rhythm stage, I don't have it like that. I have it around 3 o'clock and I got it pushed in, and that's plenty of gain for rhythms for me anyways. So that's definitely a couple of things that you might want to try in this amplifier. Just give them a try and see what you think. And again, make sure you're really careful when you're adjusting the faders in the graphic EQ section. Now, I've also found that assigning the graphic EQs in this amplifier is very, very handy. I like the fact that I can make channel 2, which is my rhythm channel, extremely aggressive and full, and have a lot of great low end and chunkiness to it. And that EQ, however I have it set up, is actually great for the clean channel as well. So it's just a perfect match for both of those channels. Some guys like to not use the graphic EQ for the clean channel, but I suggest you don't, because you're really missing out on a lot of magic for that channel. It just opens it up and it makes it bloom more, and it just has a lot more fullness and chime to it when you use the graphic EQ for even the clean channel. And having a separate graphic EQ for your lead channel really helps you warm it up and give it that really nice glassy pure tone that we all look for in our leads. And John Petrucci's lead tone is second to none. I mean, it just sounds amazing, especially when you see him live. It's very warm and glassy and pure, and even when you go up on the higher notes on your guitar, it doesn't pierce your ears. It doesn't have this like screechy piercing sound to it. It's very, very warm and glassy, and I feel like I've achieved that. I'll show you that in a minute. I just really think that this amp is worth the effort when you're dialing it in. It really is, because once you achieve the sounds that you want, and you know, you pretty much just keep them there. I mean, I call it holy ground. Once I get an amp dialed in the way I want it, it's holy ground. Don't touch it, you know. And I feel like I'm either already there or I'm damn close, you know, with this amplifier. I might do some touch-ups over the next few days with it, but it sounds great just the way it is right now. So before we play a short solo on channel 3, let me just play a couple more riffs for you on channel 2 the way I have the amp dialed in. And for these riffs, I'll be pushing it with the Mud Killer. I'll do a couple riffs that you're probably familiar with, and then I'll do one of my own. So now let's hear a short lead on channel 3 in a mix, and you can hear the really nice warm glassy tone that this amplifier gives you. So I hope you guys got something out of this video. I gotta tell you, I really love the lead tone on this amplifier as well. I really feel like it's just super glassy and warm. There's a lot of really nice character to it. And as you heard, when you even get up into the higher register on the guitar, the notes don't hurt your ears. I mean, it's just really smooth and warm. And the basic key to that is the 6600 fader. Just, man, I'm telling you, just edge it down a little bit and you'll find your sweet spot with it. You want it to be a little lower than the fader that you use on your rhythm channel. So, and that's what John Petrucci does too. I've seen videos where he said he takes that down just a little bit and you'll find that sweet spot. You don't want as much edge on your lead channel that you have on your rhythm channel. With the rhythm channel, you definitely want to have some nice bite and some grit and some great pick attack, but on the lead channel, you want it to be smooth and glassy. And I'm telling you, just a teeniest little adjustment on that fader will make a huge difference. So take that down a little bit until you find the sweet spot, and just play some stuff up in the higher register of the guitar and you'll find it. You'll definitely hear it come down a little bit, and it cuts through the mix, but it doesn't hurt your ears. And I found the sweet spot with it. So do that, and you can also take your presence knob down a little bit. In fact, I have the presence pulled on channel 3 as well. And I just really love the sweep that it gives you, but just take that down, 10 o'clock or a little below, and you'll get a really nice lead tone with this amplifier. Well, I could go on and on about this amplifier and go really in depth with it, but I just want to give you some highlights and a couple of options to try. So go ahead and try these settings out for yourself and let me know in the comment section what you think of them. Well, to all my subscribers and Patreon supporters, thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I come out with a new episode. Basically, what I do here is I do a lot of amp dial-ins and shootouts with unprocessed audio. There's no EQ or compression on anything. It's all just straight mic'd with no EQ on the mics at all. I just slap the mics in front of the speakers and find the sweet spot and let it rip. I mean, that's pretty much what I do here. So if you like what I do here, I hope you subscribe and come back for more videos and watch some of my backlog videos. There's a lot of videos out there. And if you want to support my work, feel free to join my Patreon and support me for any amount. It just helps keep the channel going and encourages me to keep doing videos for you guys. Well, I got a lot more stuff coming up for you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.